Happy 2024, everybody. Katie here. I know it has been a minute. I am taking you guys on a Goodwill Bins haul today. I hope it makes up for the fact that I've been gone from you for so long. But I'm so glad you're here to watch this video. In case you guys need a reminder, the Goodwill Bins is where you pay by the pound. You fill the cart, they weigh the cart. I believe the price is up to $1.59 a pound now. When you hear people talk about the Goodwill Bins or the Goodwill Outlet, this is what they're talking about. So as you guys can see, there are these really big, kind of shallow blue bins. They fill these up, they wheel them out, and people just start rummaging through them. And whatever you want, you snag it, you put it in your cart. It's really easy peasy. As you can see, it is a huge hodgepodge. I always recommend wearing gloves. Because there is broken glass and you really never know what you might find. I have found some strange things in these bins that I would not have wanted my hands to touch. So take my advice there. After about, maybe 45 minutes, they wheel those bins off and they bring out fresh ones. So it's actually a lot of fun if you have the patience to start digging, which is what we're going to do now. I grabbed those bubble mailers because they only ended up costing me a few cents a piece. I can definitely use those when I ship things for eBay. They always have tons of puzzles, which just never makes sense to me because they always end up opening up and the pieces go everywhere. I did see these really cute little vintage Easter baskets. They might be 1980s. But again, very lightweight. They would be perfect for my booth, and they would only cost me a couple cents each. You can also see there's just so many little bits and pieces. I do really like silver plate. However, I tend to not buy it here because when it weighs, it tends to be pretty heavy. So if it's silver plate, I usually go ahead and leave that behind. You can see some of the bins have kind of more like, garbage in them, a lot of broken stuff, a lot of stuff that probably should be just thrown in the trash, but I still like looking. I thought this little kind of Dutch Delft tin was really cute. I always keep my eye out for vintage clothing and accessories. I tend to find things like the vintage ties and hankies and things like that in here. I'm always keeping my eye peeled for, I'm sorry you guys, that angle was a little bit funny there, for vintage Christmas stuff. I tend to find a lot of it at the bins, it seems like. You see a lot of records, you see a lot of cassettes. Back to that silver plate. I think I was thinking about it again, but ultimately decided, no, I don't think I'm going to grab it. I'm always looking for things for my vintage booth, especially if it's stuff that hardly weighs anything that I can just get for a few cents. I like to grab it and just put it for a few bucks in my booth, and stuff like that usually flies out really quick. I kind of have this thing where, the cheaper I buy it, the cheaper I can sell it. And that's great for everybody. You see a lot of kids' toys. There's also always a lot of artificial flowers. I don't know what it is about that, but you tend to see tons of them. And people really buy them. I mean, you see people just snagging them. I do love their book bins. They don't change these out as often, but books are only 50 cents for a hardcover, I believe, and 25 cents for a soft cover. I love going through here to look for old children's books, anything with great graphics that I can use for crafting. I also like to find great nature books. Those tend to sell well for me. And I also look for old cookbooks because I not only collect them, but there's also a great market for them too. So digging through this part is really fun. I did snag this book about medicinal plants. And I'll show you guys here. I pulled over my cart to kind of show you. I got a little, I think that was a little Pampered Chef sandwich cutter. A cool old green bean tin, although I think that was reproduction. A couple other old tins. neat bottle brush tree. I grab craft supplies when I can find them cheap because the kids can always use them for school projects and homework and things like that. I love finding vintage linens because, as you can imagine, they hardly weigh anything. This one had a wonderful little Irish theme to it, and it was Irish linen. It had never been used, so I grabbed that. I also grabbed these old mercury glass Christmas ornaments and lots of other little Christmas odds and ends that I will be using in my crafting. I did find that Raggedy Ann doll, some fun copper. I also grabbed some little old trading cards because my son collects them and he actually also has started reselling them. So I snag those when I can. I found a great little old recipe box that had all the old recipes in it. I will keep some of those, the rest I will sell because those do sell well. Some old frames. I love that gilded gold one. It was a little on the heavy side, but I still got it for just a few dollars. I ended up breaking my rule. I still went ahead and grabbed this silver plate tray, even though it was a little bit heavy, because I just absolutely loved it. I also found some neat little copper pieces, cookie cutters, and I also thought that little windmill piece was kind of cute. It looked handmade. I found these older icicles. I loved the graphic on them. And these cute little pots and pans for kids. These will go into my booth and they will sell quickly. And you guys can see that forsythia wreath. I've always loved forsythia. I used to call it banana peel plant. And so I grabbed that and it will be going up in my house this spring. My daughter collects squishmallows, so if I can find them very clean, I end up grabbing those as well. I've been seeing quite a few of them lately, even ones with tags on them, so that's exciting. These were little made in Germany wooden pieces. They were like little gnomes with mushrooms. They still had their original box. I grabbed 2 of these. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but I thought they were absolutely precious. I also grabbed the old coconut face and some of these little wicker pumpkins. Just kind of some fun odds and ends that I can put in my booth or use for crafting. And you can see I've got quite the pile going on over here. I got this old cigar box. I thought my son would like it for keeping cards in. He really did too. He loved it. And I also found some more cards. You can see some of the books that I grabbed. The neat old Fiesta book. I thought that would actually be cool for anyone who collected Fiesta to display it with their dishes. But I also just got some great cookbooks. I got a couple great children's books. Nothing extremely old, 70s, 80s, but they still have some value. And you can see the clothing bins. There's just, piles upon piles of clothing. I don't quite have the energy to dig through it. Those bins tend to be a little more crowded. However, I did see this Patagonia headband, which I ended up grabbing because that is a kind of high-end brand, and I thought that it might have a good resale value. That's if my kids didn't want it. And then I found some more Christmas. I just love the little clip-on ornament, and you can see the little red clips that you would put candles in. And then there's also a cookie tray. I really loved that green trim. I will add that to my crafting pile as well. And while I was digging, I was excited to find the Raggedy Andy because you might remember a few minutes ago I had the Raggedy Ann. And so finding the Raggedy Andy was exciting because then I got to put them together and sell them as a pair. And I also got some old hankies. As long as they are clean and have bright, colorful patterns, I do love grabbing these. Not only for crafts, but they also have a great resale value. People just love the vintage linens. They're starting to do well for me again. They kind of took a little pause for a while, but they really are starting to do well for me again. So I always grab them if I see them at the bins because, as you can imagine, they only cost a couple of cents each when they are weighed. I do love old tins. I was thrilled to find this tin, a coconut cashew tin, and I had this idea to make like an assemblage out of it with like fall pieces and some of the little squirrel pieces I have. But the inside was really, really gross. And so I thought, you know what? I decided not to. But I did think it was cute. I still ended up cleaning it up and using it for resale, but I decided not to keep it. But I really did love the graphics on that. So you can see I really don't have a rhyme or reason. I throw everything in the cart, however it'll fit. It's kind of like playing, Tetris. But the idea is, to get as much as you can in there for it to weigh as little as possible. And so there you can see that's the cart on the scale. And I paid $43 for this haul, so I was really happy. I know this was a quick one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, thank you for visiting, like, and subscribe, and I will see you back here next time. Happy thrifting.